Well, there's always an autobiographical component, I believe, to our questions.
It's very personal aspects of why I thought this might be something that I could be useful in beginning.
And since I was a kid, I definitely can think of examples from the time before I was in school, so before 5, when I saw something that was an abuse of power, incredibly unjust, and all I could do about it was cry and protest.
I've never been very far from my own personal roots growing up on the North Side at a really extraordinary time, a time when, in many respects, the whole world was converging just a few blocks away from where I was growing up. It was a time of tremendous expansion of thinking about possibilities.
I think what happened is that gradually those questions were socialized out of me. Don't rock the boat, don't question authority.
I was just very fortunate to live at a time and place where I was exposed to teachers, thinkers, community activists that planted within me a deep resonance for thinking well and committing to, as best one could, the pursuit of the way societies could and ought to be.
Social justice education and departments are popping up more and more at universities across the country. And I think that's because institutions and administrators are recognizing that students, 21st century students, want to be equipped with the knowledge of understanding the social injustices that they see all around them, and then they want to be equipped with skills for doing something about those social injustices. So the fact that Hamline has had a social justice program since 1999 is really remarkable, and Hamline has really been a trailblazer in this regard.
Hamline was very early in saying we can not only have a kind of campus community commitment to social justice, but we can pursue it in academic ways, which provides our students with a grounding in a base of knowledge and skills that makes it possible to think of this vocationally.
It's interesting to me that it's been in the relatively recent years, I would say probably in the last maybe 10 years, that academic leaders of the institution have been talking about the social justice mission that's embedded in Hamline's mission. I didn't hear much talk about that for my first 20 years here. So it's interesting that it's coming up right now. I believe that social justice education has been happening here much longer.
I had the great good fortune of having a chair in the religion department who was interested in expanding my teaching opportunities. But the religion department itself couldn't offer me enough classes. And at the very same time, there was an initiative that he was involved in, faculty-generated initiative, to put together an academic program in social justice. And if you wanted to bring the roots of that down to very human dimensions, this was about faculty members who were becoming frustrated with the university constantly talking about its commitment to such things, but not articulating it in the central, most meaningful form, which would be an educational program.
I'm proud of so many things about the social justice program and the things that we've been able to accomplish.
But students in particular have been such a gift to me.
Something that really stands out are the student successes, and specifically some of the projects that they have completed in the classes.
My all-time favorite is a course called The Role of Conflict in Social Change, and it's a course that could be taught with a variety of different social movements at its center. I have always taught it as young people in the civil rights movement, and that is a history that is mostly living in people's memories, not in the official history texts.
So I'm thinking specifically about the youth activism class. Students create activist videos in collaboration with elementary school students.
There are kids in this community who actually learn that history in their school, in a social justice curriculum, in a K-8 school. So those students come into the course when I teach it, and they teach Hamline students. That course really highlights how social justice doesn't just evolve, it has to be fought for.
I thought it was great that the university got involved in the project. When the light rail was going to go through the corridor, that was a major focus for the program for a while. And a lot of people were involved in that and finding and working with different groups in the community to see how that could work for the people who already were there.
2007, the social justice program, in cooperation with a couple other programs on campus, was given a grant to explore a curriculum related to then the planning and construction of the light rail line on University.
Earl Schwartz developed a strong vision over semesters of student involvement in supporting the community and community voices to be heard as that civic project happened.
For the next 3 years, the social justice program led this initiative, first to plan what a meaningful course focused on issues having to do with the real lives of people who lived and worked in the Central Corridor would mean in terms of the changes that would come with that kind of dramatic transit and transit-related redevelopment of neighborhoods.
Was very anchored in the community, very respectful, honored first community needs, and that's part of the lesson.
It was extraordinary. It was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for me to, on the one hand, learn more in a very, very particular way about the way that this very neighborhood adjacent to Hamline works for the people who live and make their living here.
I'd love to see continuing ways for social justice students and the social justice program to magnify the voices of people who aren't otherwise heard.
In the next 20 years, my hope for the social justice program is that we are able to continue providing students with a rigorous, high-quality social justice education.
I would hope that we retain a strong academic core. It's not simply a cultivation of good intentions, but the development of real learning and actual skills. And that, in turn, to a great extent, depends on our ability to continue to make good, productive contact with partners outside of the university.
I think the solidifying of a foundation and consistency in the social justice program is probably the 20-year thing that really means something to all of us, I think. And things kept changing at the university all the time, but Earl was the same. And Earl and I and Valerie have always talked about cementing the program, making it consistent, making sure it's here for the long term, making it a part of the community, making it part of the college, and being here for students, because there's a lot of inequalities out there and a lot of social justice issues.
Thanks to the generosity of the Erickson Endowment, we've been able to provide internship and off-campus learning experiences. That's been crucial, and I would hope that in the years to come, the program continues to expand effectively in those areas.
I do have hope that we have really smart students and really passionate students that are coming through the program and that are continuously changing the program, and we're adapting the program to meet their interests and their needs.
I've met great hearts, fine people, who are doing wonderful things right now in the world, doing it and enduring the kinds of frustrations and difficulties that come with this work in a way that inspires me, deeply inspires me.